Broadcasting live on StarWorldWideNetworks.com. It's time for The Real Deal. Join the Ambassador and special guest hosts as they put together great guests and honest commentary on a range of issues. But one of their main topics will be preserving Native American tributes in sports team nicknames. Also avid fans of music and the arts, and they'll always make time for a great song or two. Now, it's time for The Real Deal. Here's your host, the Ambassador.
Welcome to The Real Deal, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the famous Star Worldwide Networks in the Camelback Towers in beautiful downtown Scottsdale, Arizona, and we are definitely off the reservation again. This is the Ambassador, and my producer, Kyle Pratt, is here with me tonight. Say hello, Kyle.
How's it going, Ambassador?
Ambassador's all in, and also with me is my beautiful co-host in from Hong Kong, Maggie. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Doing good. Thank you, Ambassador.
That's good. Okay, we're going to have a good show for everybody tonight. If you want to view Maggie's jewelry, it's jewelryscottsdale.com is where you can see her jewelry. She's a fashion designer and a jewelry designer that moved here from Hong Kong. And then she also starts this week. She's guest artist at the Phoenix Symphony. And she'll be there for, I guess, 5 months. During the symphony, they bring in well-known, high-class artists to display their art and jewelry, and Maggie was selected to be there as guest artist for this year's this winter's symphony. It's Symphony Hall downtown Phoenix. Tonight we're going to have Tana Toreno on with the Smart Community Exchange. She got back from Finland, and we were with her in Orlando, Florida a couple months ago, and she's going to tell us what happened over in Finland, so that'll be fun. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a famous guy here in the studio doing the show with us, the one and only Tony Famino from Voice to America here in the studio. This guy's world famous, and he loves our show, and he wants to come in. Be sure and support our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. Grace Propane with offices in northern Arizona, family-owned business, John and Susan Graves. Please buy your propane from Graves. They've been serving Native Americans and people in northern Arizona for a long, long time. They're good people, family-owned business. Humate International, HUMATE.com. That's my company. I produce minerals for organic agriculture and conventional agriculture up in Gallup, New Mexico. We ship them worldwide. One of our biggest customers is the Dole Food Company. Dole's the largest grower in the world, and we ship it to them in several different countries for growing pineapples, mangoes, bananas. They're also the largest flower grower in the world. So when you go into the stores and you see the flowers wrapped in plastic, more than likely those come from Dole. Also, our other sponsor, Swisher Air Conditioning. They donate a unit to a low-income Native American family in Arizona, one a month. This is a $10,000 deal at no cost to the family. So if you know of anybody that needs something like that, contact me, 602-540-3000. Or info@yellowhorse.us. Please consider being a sponsor. We really need sponsors. Don't forget to download the new app, right, Kyle?
Yep, and if people want, they can also look you up on iTunes and your show's there.
Yeah, our shows are on iTunes. And we want to thank our listeners all over the country, Native Americans, all Americans, coast to coast. They listen to our show, and they spread the word through their social media, and that's why our show's doing so well. I also want to thank our listeners at Channel 3, and the other local channels, Anchor Jamie Soretta. She's on mornings at Channel 3. You can catch her on there. She's a very nice lady and a very good friend. American Indian Center of the Great Plains in Kansas City, Johnny Leonard and our partners at the American Indian Center, and we're going to be doing some things there. And so listen to our show when we're going to be broadcasting it from Kansas City in the near future. Also, now I'd like to say something to my Navajo brothers and sisters in Navajo. Yat Eshe Dennis Yellow Horse Jones and She. Adishbanana. I want to introduce you to Peter McDonald, the 4-time chairman of the Navajo Nation, president of the Navajo Code Talkers. Peter, if you would.
She has twice as on is it's can't the neshike no cliniki. Oh, she Peter McDonald that she has got the hon slobet and he was chin. Adots a card ne that she nalle as she that she che. Totich in eba setta shada halia. Kododi nini eba hanne. No, Kodoy ambassador. Dennis Yellowhorse nichi yalticho yoshwol. Akota nini be edeba hanne the real deal will yell. Jo koi hashina land ne says yes yadal lahada ba lahab lahadal now. Diedo kot eda. Ebony na hada kisigi kodo the real deal no yahal negi did nini jo edeba honne. Ako ikena aslagi sto banda yoshni to banda notra Graves Company will yov la shibe da no Sunday ta jo kodo kwishi hot di ikena asla kodo kwichi na long kodo hichi yati.
Thank you, Peter. We did 4 shows with him, ladies and gentlemen, back in February. And as I said briefly there, he was a Navajo Code Talker, and he's also president of the Navajo Code Talkers. There's only about 18 of these guys are left, if not that many. And he, and all 4 of those shows are archived, and they'll be titled Peter MacDonald, MacDonald. And we've done a lot of shows here, and we've been on the air now for almost 2 years. And I got to tell you, these were probably some of the best, huh, Kyle?
Oh, yeah. I was really fortunate that we got him on for 4 shows back to back.
Back to back. We call it the Golden Bundle. But if you want to know the history about the Navajo Code Talkers and how these kids helped help us win World War II, go back and listen to those shows, and you'll find them very, very interesting, I'll tell you. And he's like us. He's the real deal. So with that, now I want to go to my business associate, Mark Burr. He lives in the Washington, D.C. area, and he's also an associate, as well as I am, with Jay Stryker, and they're a Wall Street firm, family-owned business, and we do a lot of business with them when they come out west and to Indian country. Mark's been around the world. He's a former Marine. Speaks several different languages. He's very fluent in Spanish. He's going to say something to our listeners now in the Spanish language, because a lot of the tribes, especially in California, they lost their language of choice, and their language now is Spanish, and especially the Pasquayaqui tribe, who listens to our show in northern Mexico and southern Arizona, and also some of the tribes in southern New Mexico. Mark, if you would.
Claro que sí, don Dennis. Nuevamente, bienvenidos a nuestra audiencia de hispanoparlantes y a todos nuestros patrocinadores, Graves Propane de Flagstaff y Humate Internacional de Gallup, Nuevo México, y a todos los radio oyentes a través de la nación y del Real Deal y nuestro anfitrión, el embajador.
Thank you, Mark. Now I have Maggie here, and Maggie speaks fluent Cantonese and Mandarin, and she has a lot of listeners that follow her on WeChat and social media that listen to our show. And so she's going to say something to them in their language. Maggie, if you would.
Thanks, Chief. 其实这个节目是说美国印第安人的历史文化。Western Post 访问所有美国印第安人，他们都喜欢 Western Redskin Kansas City Chief 这个名字，但是有的话人要改变这个名字。珍妮斯·王马先生为了保护这个名字，他本人做出了好大的贡献和支持。我们希望得到每一位的参与和支持。珍妮斯·王马先生还有出售有机土壤叫优美。如果有需要，请打我美国电话6025151073。Thanks so much, Chief, for having me on Real Deal. That is such my honor.
Thank you, Maggie. I'll tell you a little bit about what she said. She's talking about our show, and then she's talking about why I did do this show is because of the names that honor the teams, Kansas City Chiefs and the Washington Redskins and the other teams. And then she also talked about several months ago there was a poll that was done by the Washington Post, and they sent their reporters to every state in the United States and interviewed Native Americans only. And they come back, and they asked them, they says, what do you think of the names of the teams that honor Native Americans, Washington Redskins, Kansas City Chiefs? And they come back, 90% of the people that they interviewed, and they interviewed a lot of them, 90% come out and said that they were fine with these names. So that tells you right now that this is a phony civil rights scam. That's what it is. It's a phony civil rights scam, and it's being played by the political correctness morons that think we're dumb enough to fall for it. And then she also talks about my humate, and as a result of that, some of her listeners contacted her a couple months ago and said they want to know more about this humate because they would like to take it to China and Taiwan and some different countries. And they went as far as to say, we want to fly in here, meet me. And so Maggie told them, yeah, that's fine. We're going to be in Orlando doing a show, but after we get back from Orlando. And they did. And they actually come in the studio, didn't they, Kyle?
Mm-hmm. They did.
Yeah, they come in and sit right here in the studio. I told them, Maggie, to tell them to come on a Wednesday, and then that way they could come here and sit and do the show with us. And they did. And then after we left, the next day we had cars, and we went up to Gallup, New Mexico, and I showed them where I do the humate, and they got samples. And then I took them around, took them to Window Rock, and showed them the capital of the Navajo Nation. And then they headed back to Taiwan. But now they're in the process of getting the registrations and the licensing permits to take my product into those countries. And trust me, it'll outperform anything that they got. So it's humate.com. Take a look at it, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, Star Worldwide Networks, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest, fastest-growing internet radio station in the country, right here. 200 shows, 6 million listeners. Kyle, tell them who's number one.
The Real Deal's number one.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. You can sit down back there.
Quite a crowd in here tonight.
Yeah, quite a crowd. Maggie, bring in some more chairs.
Okay.
No, a lot of it's because of all the fans of the teams that honor Native Americans, and we want to thank them. Kansas City Chiefs, Washington Redskins, Golden State Warriors, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, Chicago Blackhawks for listening and honoring Native Americans by using these names. And as I told you, and I say it every week, this is social and cultural genocide to Native Americans. Take away the names, get rid of the books, get rid of their culture, and pretty soon in 100 years, they'll just be Americans. And I really believe that. So now we're going to get ready. We're going to take a little trip to Atlanta, Georgia. Kyle, I want you to call the pilots.
All right.
We have an airline called Real Deal Airlines, ladies and gentlemen.
VIP.
VIP, only for real dealers. And so we're going to take a short break, and then before we leave, we're going to fire up the airplanes and take us to Atlanta, Georgia.
So ballroom man in Memphis, he tried to fool me upstairs for a ride. He had to lead me right across the shoulder.
Okay, we're back. That was Tina Turner, and she's definitely a honky-tonk woman in my book, I'll tell you that. She don't set you free, nothing will. Okay, we're going to go to our next guest, my friend, and she's one of the partners and principals at Smart Community Exchange, Tana Dorano. Tana, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm glad to hear you're back in the United States.
I am still just a little bit jet lagged, but I'm doing great. And I have greetings from Finland.
Oh.
The Bright Charger crew sent me an email to say, please say hello to you and that they hope to be seeing you soon.
Right. Yes, my company's going to be representing Bright Charger. And Tana, I want you to tell our listeners about that, about the Charger and what we're going to be doing and where the proceeds go and the good things about it. But first, I've got to tell you, we played your clip last Wednesday. Kyle pulled it out and did it, didn't you, Kyle?
Yeah, it turned out great. I was telling her.
Yeah, it was really good. And our listeners loved it because, God, you must have had, how many different people, 15?
We did, yes.
And
it was great. And we had so many countries represented. And, it's so great that most everybody in Europe, as you know, speaks multiple languages. So everybody decided to choose a different language to say hello in, and it was really incredible when we started going around the room.
Right.
Once they understood what we were doing, and it gave us a good chance to talk about you and your show too. And a lot of them have been listening, and we showed pictures of the group while we were in Orlando together, and then of course the Bright Charger team were with us in Orlando also, so they were explaining to everybody about you and your show and about their experience on the show. And then we talked about Humate and Yellow Horse Industries. So
great.
You were there in spirit with us,
That's good.
Ambassador, but you were certainly there.
Good. Where you were in Helsinki, right?
We were, yeah, and it was so incredible. My first trip to Finland, and of course, my partner Mina is from Finland, so
right.
It was a great chance for me to get to really experience Finland firsthand and meet all those great innovators. It's pretty amazing. It's like everybody you meet it is an inventor of some kind. It's really amazing.
Incredible. They're the number one country in the world, huh?
They are for education, and we also had a great opportunity to meet with the Minister of Education's office while we were there, and they were very interested in hearing about entrepreneurship and education and the things that we do here, and we opened up a lot of opportunities for some exchange with education and educators in the next year.
Right. That was awesome. Tell our listeners about the Charger.
Well, we're real excited. Bright Charger is one of our clients that we've been working with for the last year and a half, and they had a new innovation of a charger that would turn your battery charging off when the phone is full. And as you know, a lot of times we get real lazy and plug it in at night and leave it in all night long. And once it gets 100% full, it stops, but then it starts draining. And then it charges back up, and then it drains and charges back up and drains. So if you notice, after a few months, your phone has to be charged more often, and it doesn't hold the charge as long, and that's because the battery's been drained so many times.
Right.
So this new innovation will turn off the battery charging when it's full, and it changes the color of it. Has like a little globe that has a light on it, so it also gives you a visual signal that it's charged, and you push it when you're ready to start charging again. But it really helps your battery stay good for longer. It helps your phones last longer because, the new phones now we can't even change out the battery. We just have to buy a new phone when the battery goes out. So it's going to be a pretty exciting game changer when it comes on the market, and it's coming out really soon. As a matter of fact, the inventor is with the manufacturer today, and we should be starting the everything on Friday and have some in your hands in just a matter of weeks.
Great. Was the people there with the windmills?
No, they weren't. That we had a lot of really different kinds of companies this time. We did have some other energy companies, and it was very interesting to see how different. There were so many different kinds of technologies. We had a lot of nanotechnologies and some people in the medical industry and people in food delivery systems. And, you think you've seen everything, but it was like just so many new ideas, vertical parking decks, but not like what ours. It was a different kind of parking that was supposed to be energy efficient and cut down on emissions, and quite a few technologies I think that would be great out in your area too. We talked a lot about some education technologies, and they have a lot of mass transit there, which is really different from what we have. A few buses, you know, and a few trains, but they have those big high-speed trains, and everybody's riding a bike or walking or using mass transportation. You don't see that many cars.
Really? Mm-hmm. What was some of the other interesting businesses?
I was really fascinated by, there was one company that had a fabric coated with a nanotechnology that would repel stains. So it was really going to revolutionize a lot of commercial applications that we saw for that. And then we met a company that makes a lot of products out of recycled glass, and it can even, they put LED lights in it, and it can even be used for driveways and sidewalks and walls and all kinds of things. It's so strong. And, of course, a great recycling project as well. And then we had a lot of really interesting waste recycling companies, and we got a chance to talk to them a little bit about you and your products. So have some interest there to share your information. But it, like I said, it was just very interesting to hear everybody's different ideas and how they go about things. And they're very efficient, I will have to say, with space and with everything they do. They're extremely efficient.
Well, it's just fascinating to me that all these people over there in Finland are inventing something to change the world, to make the world a better place.
They really have, and everything was just so clean, and the air was just so crisp and clean, and I didn't realize that they were on the sea. And, because I didn't really understand the geography till I got there, but Finland is a long, narrow country, similar to like Florida. Right. So it's like a long peninsula. Right. And it was very interesting because I kept seeing all these cruise ships, and I'm thinking, where did the cruise ships go? And they go back and forth to Sweden. And it's like a one-day cruise. And so it's just right across the sea to Stockholm. Huh. And I thought, well, that's an interesting concept, a one-day cruise back and forth between Sweden and Finland.
Right. Is Mina still there? Or did she come back?
She came back the same day I did. She went a different route through Amsterdam, and I went through New York. But she was there for a few more days visiting family and catching up with everybody. Right.
Was it cold there?
It was actually pretty warm the first couple of days. It was in the 60s, and then the last 2 days it got down into the 30s. So it was cold, but they said if we had, stay a few more days, it was starting to really drop, and probably within the next few weeks it'll have a lot of snow and ice. I saw the sea there right by the harbor, and I said, well, that's really gorgeous. And they were showing me a castle across on the other side, and they said, yes, you see all the ferries going back and forth. In a few weeks, we'll just walk across. And I said, oh, it's really going to get that cold? They said, yeah, it really does. Wow. It's cold enough that it freezes the whole area there. So that was kind of interesting concept too. I thought, I'm from the South. I don't think I could manage having several feet of snow all the time. No,
that's why I don't go to Gallup as much in the wintertime. Because man, that is really cold up there. And it'll get down to 15, 20 below zero in January, February, where you can't even work. It's just too dangerous to work. But I really enjoyed meeting all those guys, and I can't wait to get them over here to Arizona. And
well, I think you're going to have more than just the Bright Charger guys, because we talked about it so much that quite a few people said they plan to come to Arizona when we have the Smart Community Exchange out there. So I told them that it would probably be spring or summer, and we'd let them know when we set a date. So they were pretty excited about coming out and learning about your area and learning more about your culture and how things operate. And a lot of them have never been out to the western part of the U.S.
Right. No, that'll be good. We want them to come, and we'll bring them in here, and we'll have them on the show too.
Well, we would have been on live, but it was 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, no, that would have been That would have been too much. 3 o'clock in the morning.
It was a little tough because we were in back-to-back meetings. And one thing that's interesting, we always have lunch meetings and dinner meetings here in the U.S. Well, they just have meetings with coffee, and they probably drink more coffee than we do. But we were in meetings sometimes 5 and 6 meetings in a row, and I'd finally say, can we take a break and eat? I don't know how they manage that. They don't eat that much, and they walk all the time. I guess that's why they're so healthy.
Probably, yeah. Well, I sure had fun with them in Orlando. They were just great guys to be around, and they were all positive energy people,
Oh, absolutely. They talked about how much fun they had with you. They really did. Getting to know you and getting to be on the show like we talked about. So the group wasn't quite sure what to expect until we did the recording, and then they were just really anxious to hear the show, so we shared the link with everybody. And I just posted the first of the pictures and the link about the press release on my Facebook page today, so we're just now getting started with getting all the pictures out. But we even went to an innovation center, Ambassador, where they had thousands of students that work on innovation projects, and they're hired by major corporations to solve their problems. And they'll go in there and brainstorm and come up with ideas and co-own patents with these big corporations.
Wow.
I mean, it's just amazing. These kids are just brilliant.
Was that in Helsinki, too?
It was. Mm-hmm.
Wow, an innovation school.
Yes, and the exciting thing is they do a big innovation event every year. We're supposed to be going back and joining in that event in May. They filled up the entire hockey stadium with innovators last year, and they're wanting to do the event in the U.S. with us. So it may be that by the end of next year we'll have an innovation event here in the U.S. also.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. It's just amazing, and who would ever thought Finland would be doing all that stuff? I think their education system is so amazing. Well, that's what it is.
They start from a young age, coming up with ideas. And Hari, that you met, that's the inventor of Bright Charger, he has several other inventions already.
Right. I was watching TV the other night, and somebody was saying, we spend more money than any country in the world on education, and we're still ranked number 28 or 29. Did you see that?
I did.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was on TV. Somebody on one of the business channels, and then the guy was saying all these other countries are ahead of us, and they don't spend near the money we spend. So it tells you we're not getting our money's worth.
Well, they're very much into the student experience, and they feel like nutrition and going outside is very important. A lot of the classes are done outside. They make sure that they don't have a lot of homework, but they are very engaged with the students and the students figuring out problems. So it's not a teacher standing in front of the class talking to the students. It's the students solving problems and working in teams and almost the stuff that we don't get a chance to do until we get to college. And they're doing it in a young age and learning multiple languages, and they really also honor their teachers there. That you can't just decide to become a teacher. And all the teachers have to have master's degrees, and there's only a few people that get accepted. So just like we do with doctors here, where you really have to hope that you get into the med school, it's the same way for teachers in Finland, and it's a very honored profession. Right. And a very high-paid profession.
Well, that's good. I always say you got to pay teachers. When I was living back in Maryland, I had a lot of friends that were teachers, and they didn't get paid beans. No,
and I think that's where the big challenge is here. Is I think that that's partially why we have the challenges we do in the education system, and I think we could learn a lot from Finland. And I'm really excited that we're going to be bringing some of their teachers here to work in our schools, and we'll be able to take some of our teachers to Finland to learn what they do in Finland, and then when we bring them here to the U.S., we'll be able to share with them about entrepreneurship in education, because in Finland the schools and businesses aren't connected at all.
Right.
So it'll be a very interesting thing that we can share with them, and I think it'll benefit both groups.
Yeah. When I was talking to him, in Orlando, they said that they had to learn English when, like, in the third grade or something.
Well, that was one of the things we were going to do was visit a school, but they said they were having their matriculation exams. But they start learning the languages at a very young age, and then by the time they're in high school, they have multiple languages. And it was interesting in the group when we were there in our meeting, we were asking, where people were from and what languages, and most of them had 4 and 5 languages they spoke, and that's why we had such a great diversity on the tape for you, is because most of them, had multiple languages. Right. I know Mina has 7 that she speaks.
Unbelievable. Yeah, she told me that.
Yeah, I wish we had that here. I really do. I wish at a young age they had really encouraged us to learn more languages. Right.
No, that's good. Yeah, you have to, especially in today's modern world where people's traveling all over. I wished I knew Spanish more than I do. I learned it in New Mexico when I was young, but then I forgot a lot of it. And because, as you know, I do a lot of business in South America, and I do a lot of business in Mexico, and all these, their primary language is Spanish. And so when I go down there, thank God a lot of them speak English, because a lot of these guys are agronomists and they've been educated in our universities, so they'll speak English and Spanish. But it'd be nice just to be more fluent in Spanish than I'd like it if I was more fluent.
Well, that was one thing I found is that I speak English, so I would go up to even a counter to order food, or be at the mall, or at the train station. It didn't matter where I was. They would speak to me in Finnish, and if they realized I spoke English, they immediately switched and started speaking to me in English.
Right.
So it was very interesting that there was not a language barrier at all for me.
Yeah. When I was in Canada with Dr. Vasilenko a couple years ago, we ended up he lives near Ottawa, the capital. So then we went over to Montreal, because it wasn't that far, and I wanted to see what Montreal was like. And everybody over there spoke French, and he speaks fluent French. But as soon as they knew when they talked to me, I would speaking in English, and they obviously knew I wasn't from Canada. And they were wearing a cowboy hat and Indian jewelry. But anyway, so they converted to English real quick, and they had no problem speaking English, but their language of choice in Montreal was French Canadian. Yeah.
Well, I will just have to say it was an educational trip for me, and it was a real opportunity. The scenery was beautiful, the area was beautiful, and the thing that surprised me is when we went to tour some of the historic sites. I went with Yanni from Bright Charger and his family. They took me to a cafe that was there by the sea, but then we walked up the hill to an observatory, and it was just so green, and the trees were starting to turn the fall colors. And I said, this reminds me of East Tennessee, where I grew up. I wasn't expecting to see oak trees and maple trees and all that fall foliage. It was just so gorgeous.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you just never know. Like one time I was in Mexico City, and we were going to Tosco. That's where they make all the Spanish jewelry, silver jewelry. So Jane and her sisters wanted to see where they make all this jewelry, and Tosco is halfway between Mexico City and Acapulco, and it's in the mountains because they have these big silver mines there. So I hired a driver, and I told him, I says, we're going to be gone for 3 or 4 or 5 days, and we want to go to Tosco, and you're going to drive us. So when we leave Mexico City, we're going up over the mountains, and I swear to God, you'd think you were in Colorado. These huge pine trees, and I mean big pine trees, and then as we got up into them up near the mountains in Tosco, then it would turn tropical. But you hadn't. If I wouldn't have seen it, I wouldn't have believed it. It looked just like Colorado. And that was
I was
outside
just
of Mexico
surprised
City.
that. And got a chance to eat reindeer. First time I'd ever done that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it was actually really good. That was, but it was on almost every menu for almost every restaurant we went to. Mm-hmm.
Does it taste like venison, or?
Actually, I would say more just like a filet mignon or something for me.
Really?
It was very lean and very rich tasting, but it didn't, it didn't taste like wild game at all.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised that venison was on most menus. And then, of course, a lot of grilled fish and fresh vegetables, and then a salad bar at breakfast, which was something else I wasn't used to have an option of having a salad and vegetables. I've seen fruit bars at breakfast, but not salad bars at breakfast. So it was just different and interesting to me to see so many different traditions, and the food was just amazing.
Right,
and,
I bet.
And everything was so fresh.
Yeah. Do they? What do they grow there? Their growing season has to be really short.
Well, one of their big exports is oats, and they eat a lot of oatmeal, and it tastes totally different there than it does here in the U.S. It was had a lot of texture, and then they have a lot of berries they grow, and they export quite a few berries that they grow. And I didn't realize they had so much forest area, and hardwood is a big export for them also, and a lot of wood products.
Do they grow in greenhouses too?
They do, and they had a really huge greenhouse by one of the universities there. I didn't get a chance to go in it because we were in business meetings so much, and it wasn't open on the weekend, but they evidently have quite a few food exports that they create, and they have a very high standards in their processing facilities.
Oh, I'm sure.
Quite amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure. They would. I'd like to get them some information on my humate, especially the greenhouses where Dr. Vasilenko did all the research in Canada on my product.
Well, we did share already a little bit about humate, and I told them that I'd be getting them more information after we got back here because they were quite fascinated to hear about it.
No, it'll outperform anything they got, and it would be worth it too for them to at least try it and see what they think of it. But that sounds like you. How much was you there? A whole week?
I was there almost 10 days. I went on I left here on Thursday and got back on late Saturday the following week. So I was there for quite a long time.
Wow. Well, that's good. Well,
yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them again and hook up with you and Mina.
Well, we're looking forward to it also, and I'm sure we'll be making more trips back to Helsinki, so hopefully you can join us next time that we go over there, and that I do know that they're all excited about coming out and meeting you and seeing your studio and coming out and just spending some time.
We'll do it. Yeah, I'll set it up for sure. We'll have them in here on The Real Deal. Okay.
And we'll get back together when we're ready to launch Bright Charger here in a few weeks.
Okay. I'll be talking to you off the air probably in a day or two.
All right. That sounds wonderful. Thanks so much. And tell Maggie I said hi.
We'll say hi to her, Maggie.
Oh, hi, Tina. I miss you.
Oh, miss you too. I saw some beautiful jewelry. I'll have to tell you all about it.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Where are you now?
I'm back in Alabama, but I enjoyed my time in Finland and saw a lot of gorgeous jewelry there, so I'll be sure and share with you what I saw.
Yes, I love it. Oriental with the chief we saw on TV news. They say Oriental had the
hurricane.
Yeah, hurricane, and then I worry about you. I say, where is Tina? So now you're safe. It's good.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. We're going to be seeing each other soon, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Miss you.
Take care and tell Mina I said hi.
I will do it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, nice lady. Good friend. Yeah, very good friend. And she's a very smart lady, and she has a smart community exchange.
I want to go to Finland now.
Yeah.
Hearing about it.
We should go do a show there.
That'd be awesome. 3 a.m. their time, so we can get live here at 5 o'clock.
Oh, God. What condition will we be in?
Have to do some booze to stay up till 3.
Yeah, drink that vodka from Finland is really good.
Oh, God. I don't know if we make it till 3 then.
Yeah. You ever drank vodka? It's called Finlandia.
Finlandia. No, I've never heard of that.
Oh, it's good. It's one of the top vodkas in the world.
I've heard of Belvedere. I don't know what country that is.
I don't either, but Finlandia comes from Finland, and it's one of the number one vodkas in the world. And, but it's amazing how these guys are all inventors, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, half of it plays with the education system and their upbringing, and they know how to market. And
that's why we got to get our country on the right track, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
We're going to hell in a handbasket. We're $20 trillion in debt, and let me tell you, you just can't. It can't go on. It can for a little while, but sooner or later, the bubble's going to burst, and when it does, we're going to be in a hell of a mess. I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. And so with that, I think we got another song. But ladies and gentlemen, the problem with these people that want to change the names of the teams that honor Native Americans, you know what their problem is?
You can't handle the truth.
Okay, we're back. What'd you think of that debate the other night, Kyle?
Oh, man. I thought Trump won it with a knockout.
I did, too.
I was nervous, but by the end of the debate, my whole family was standing up cheering like we just saw the Super Bowl and the Cardinals won. So
no, it was good. I was good. I mean, see, here's the thing. The other side's playing the race card. They're playing the feminist card. Mm-hmm. But they can't talk about the issues because they failed.
there's only so much they can pull out.
Yeah,
you know,
that's it. So now they're saying that, you know, he groped women and he said bad things 15 or 20 years ago. Well, men say bad things.
Yeah,
you know, that's just what men do. And I've said things that I'm sure that I don't know what I said, what he said, but I said things that I'm sure I'm sorry for, but I don't remember, and I don't know how people can.
Oh yeah, I mean, we like being a guy. We've all said that, and some of these people that say, "Well, I've never talked like that." I mean, either you're lying or you're just a saint, because right. I'm telling you, it's just guy stuff.
Well, the way I look at it,
actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, and they're going to throw more stuff at Trump. They're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at the poor guy, and he's still standing. And the way I look at it, if that's all they got, good luck with that.
Yeah, no. If that's all their ammo,
that's
like throwing a little BB at it. You
know?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, he's firing them up, man. My cousins who live in Pennsylvania went to hear one of his rallies near Pittsburgh the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's right in the heart of coal country, and that's where we had coal mines all over the place in Pennsylvania. My cousins, my uncles, my father, and they went out there, and they said there was like 7,500 in the building, and there was another 7,500 outside.
Oh yeah. A lot of people don't get in.
They don't get in, and they put out speakers and stuff, you know, and. You know, the media don't show the crowds.
No, because I mean, that would make him look good. So.
Yeah. And the other day when I was in New Mexico, there was an article that come out where they estimated all of the people that showed up at his rallies collectively since the convention. Mm-hmm. All of the people that showed up as of last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever I was in New Mexico, his was 337,000 collectively. Man. And all of the people that shows up at her rallies since the convention was a little under 14,000.
Yeah. And
so when you hear them say in the polls, "Well, she's 20 points ahead, she's 18 ahead." Well, the people that are taking the polls are the media.
Yeah.
You know, and they're skewing them. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you.
And the polls don't represent every American.
No, they don't. They don't. They don't represent every American. And my sponsor, John Graves, I talked to him the other day, and he told me about a website. It's called zerohedge.com.
Okay.
Zero Hedge, ZeroHedge.com. And on this website, there's a lot of information about what's going on in this country financially. Mm-hmm. And I looked it up, and it's true. 70% of all Americans have under $1,000 savings.
That's sad.
Yeah, I mean, what that tells you that the American people's living paycheck to paycheck.
I heard a fact the other day. We're in the worst recovery right now since the 40s.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, this 20 trillion that's hanging out there, folks, that thing's going to blow.
Yeah. And
when it does, we are really in trouble.
We're right on the verge of it.
Yeah.
This election is pretty much do or die. So
that's it. I mean, it's either down the tubes or fighting our way out. That's the way I look at it. And those people in Finland, I asked them in Orlando. I says, why Finland? What the hell is going on over there that makes you guys so superior in education versus the rest of the world? Mm-hmm. And this guy told me in the bar, he says, the reason why is because we have business people running our country.
Yep.
Business people. And see, that's what we need. We need business people running our country, not a bunch of political hacks.
Or not Common Core.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, and I've said this on the show many, many times, the establishment politicians, I'm talking about Republicans, Democrats, all these guys, when they get back to Washington, I used to live near Washington, D.C. I was in Washington, D.C. once a week. I know how they do it back there. Mm-hmm. And they don't give a damn about us.
No.
They're bought and sold by special interests. They're donors. They're lobbyists. And there's no happy hour in Washington, D.C., buddy.
Yep.
And if you got a liquor business there, you make a lot of money because they're packed every night, including Saturday and Sunday. And that's just the way they operate. But That's why things got to change, because if you're electing politicians and they don't represent you and they go back there, and the other thing we need is term limits. Mm-hmm. We need term limits. These guys don't need to be career politicians. Let some new people in there with some new ideas, some new blood, and they're not going to be corrupted.
Yep.
Like these guys are now. And I'm telling you, it's Republicans, Democrats, the establishment politicians. That's why they don't want to see somebody like Trump in there.
Well, it goes and backs up your fact, like how some of the Republicans pulled out of endorsing him this week because they're looking at it for their own sake. If they were in it for the people, they would stick by.
Exactly. And they know that if somebody gets in there, they aren't going to have the keys to the cash register.
Oh, no.
And that's what scares them. Mm-hmm. They're saying, shit, we ain't going to be able to get our cut, you know?
It's time someone goes in there and shakes it up.
Hell yeah. Right, Maggie?
Oh, yes. I think Zhang is the best. In China, they say if people roll Hillary Clinton, right?
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, they worry America will be over. They say much for Zhang. All the Chinese people, they for Zhang.
Good. Well, and the other thing, Maggie told me, we can be thankful that we at least get to vote. She don't get the vote. Chinese people don't vote, do they?
Yeah, we cannot get vote in China. But now our president, he's really good. He kind of like the business people. He really take care about China.
He's throwing a lot of the corrupt people in jail, isn't he?
Oh, yes. Yep. He's doing excellent. Excellent. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, things are going to change, hopefully, but always believe in the power of prayer.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That's why in China, they say Zhang is the best. Zhang is the best. Zhang will chase America to be great again.
That's right. Make America great again. Okay, I think we got one more song, don't we, Kyle?
We do.
Tee it up. Okay, that was my friend Lisa Fisher. And she was singing that song with Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. And I met her with Bobby Keys and when they come here to Phoenix years ago. And she can really lay that one down. Okay, we're at the end. We had a good show, Kyle.
Yeah, great show.
We're going to have a good one. We always have good ones, ladies and gentlemen. Please consider being a sponsor. I'm serious. I've been bankrolling this thing, and I'm doing the best I can, but we need some help. And I don't care if it's $10, $1, whatever. You can contact me at yellowhorse.us, info@yellowhorse.us, 602-540-3000 if you want to advertise on The Real Deal. In closing, I want to thank all of our people in the armed services, our first responders, and abroad for protecting our great country. Remember, I'm here to tell the truth and deliver the message. All lives matter. Don't forget that. All lives matter. And as John Graves' father told me years ago, Tom Graves, that we are all God's children. And don't forget that. So please consider buying propane from our sponsors, Graves Propane, Swisher Air, with offices in Arizona, and, of course, Humate International. That's me, HUMATE.com. There's a lot of opportunities there for you to either buy our product, resell it, use it, whatever you want to do. And I know more about it. I know more about it than anybody in the world. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you that's just the way it is. So I guess that's it. Thanks, Kyle, for guiding us through another night.
It's my pleasure.
Absolutely. And thank you, Maggie, for coming into the studio.
Oh, thank you, Pastor, for having me. Good.
Yes. And next week, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to tune in. Tony Femino, Voice to America. This guy, Femino. You can Google his name. He's big time. And he loves our show, and he's going to be here. So I guess that's it. I don't think we got anything else to say. Be safe, and don't believe everything the media tells you, okay? Because they are liars, and they're in the tank with special interest establishment politicians, and they think we're all a bunch of idiot fools, and that we're going to believe in anything that they tell us. Well, those days are over. Those days are over because you got people like Tony, people like me, and a lot of people that are out there saying, hey, wait a minute, this is a bunch of crap. You know, you can't tell me this. I mean, I'm not stupid. So I guess we're ready to roll. Kyle, why don't you tell our listeners all over the world, including China, where Maggie's talking and broadcasting our show, all over the world, tell them why the ambassador's here.
To kick ass and save names, ambassador.
You better believe it. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to The Real Deal. Tune in to The Real Deal with the ambassador and special guest hosts every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and on demand 24/7 right here on Star Worldwide Networks.